Good morning and welcome to this new topic, which is related to the topic we were doing, but this topic is called coordinate geometry. So coordinate geometry. And what you see here on the left is called an XY axis, okay? Or a Cartesian plane. All right, but we don't need to know that. What we need to know is we need to know how to read this, how to look at this XY axis, how to draw dots on it in the correct positions. And if we see dots drawn on it, we need to know how to describe where they are. So let's start with labeling the two lines, okay? There's the two main black lines, okay? This one here, the one going across from left to right, that is the x-axis, okay? Axis just means line across. So that's the x-axis, all right? And then the one at the top, the one up here, this is called the y-axis. And that goes from the top to the bottom. And the x-axis goes from the left to the right. And if we look at it, where they cross in the center, you can see a zero, two zeros, okay? 1 0 is on the x-axis and 1 is on the y-axis. Right here in the middle, I'm going to color it in. This middle bit, this is called the origin, okay? The origin. And that is the center of the XY axis, all right? That's the origin. Now, we need to know, if I put a dot, let me change the color. Let me put a dot here, for example. And let me put another dot down here. And let me put another dot over here. And let me put another dot, let me see, we'll put a dot here. So in maths, we need to know how to describe where these dots are, okay? We need to say, okay, this dot is at such and such a place. So we can't just say the dot is at the top right, or the dot is at the left, or bottom left, or bottom right. We can't say that because it's not specific enough. We need to be specific. We need to be detailed. We need to tell the person exactly where the dot is. So let's start with this yellow dot first, okay? So this yellow dot on the right hand side, if I draw a little line, I can see, I'm drawing a dashed line, I can see that this yellow dot is above 4, okay? See the way it's above 4 on the x-axis? Well, I'm going to write that down first, okay? I'll put a little comma. And if I look, where is it? If I draw a line across to the y-axis, it's across from 5, isn't it? Now I'm just going to put brackets around them. So what we've done here is we have just written down the coordinates of the yellow dot. So we have found out that it is above 4. So it's above 4 and it lines up with 5. Okay? Now in maths, 4, the first number here, that represents where it is on the x-axis. And this is the x-axis, remember? And the second number, that represents where it is on the y-axis. So the y-axis is over here, the one that's going from the top to bottom. So we say the yellow dot is at 4 and 5, okay? That's the coordinates. So we can, if I say to somebody, oh, I want you to draw a dot at 4 and 5, they can come along and they can look at 4 and then go up to 5 and draw a dot, and they'll do that perfectly. So let's have a look at this one down here, the kind of dark blue gray one down here. So this one is below, so it's a little different. It's below 4. So it's below 4 on the x-axis. So that doesn't make a difference that it's below. That's okay. It's just below it. But it lines up with 6 on the y-axis. But that's not a normal 6. If you look just to the left of the 6, you can see that that's a minus 6. Okay, so it's below 4 and it's in line with minus 6. So now, can you look at the graph and see that the numbers in the x-axis on the right-hand side, they are all positive numbers. But on the left-hand side, they are negative numbers. And on the y-axis, you can see the numbers going up are all positive and the numbers going down are all negative. All right? So that is a feature. That's something about the xy axis. Now let's have a look at the orange dot, okay? So the orange dot is over here on the left-hand side. And again, it is below minus 2. So it's below minus 2 on the x-axis. And it's in line with minus 3. So both numbers are minus. And I'll talk about that now in a second, all right? So it's below the minus 2 and it's in line with the minus 3. Remember, when we're talking about coordinates, the first and the second, the first is always an x coordinate and the second is a y one. So the first number tells us where it is, whether it's below or above a number on the x-axis. And then the y number, the second number, that tells us where it's level with on the y-axis. All right, so now let's have a look at this kind of bluey dot over here. So this is above minus 3 and it's in line with 2. So it's above minus 3, so I write down minus 3 because that is the x-axis, so we write that down first. Remember, x comes before y. And then it is level with 2 on the y-axis. And so that is the x coordinate and that is the y coordinate. So if we're looking at this, let me see if I can get a better pen. I'm just going to have to choose. That's maybe not good enough. That might be better. So I want to get a color here. Let's use this pink one. Okay. So we have 4 quadrants, okay? So we have quadrant 1, Q1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So it just means 4 squares. So you can see here we have quadrant 1 is on the right hand side, quadrant 2 left, quadrant 3 is bottom left, and quadrant 4 is bottom right. Now, anytime you have a dot in quadrant 1, both numbers will be positive, like the yellow dot. We can see both numbers are positive, all right? But on the left-hand side, here, the x-axis number will be minus, but the y will be positive. So any coordinate, any dot in quadrant 2 will be a negative number and a positive number. And in quadrant 3, both numbers will be negative. Kind of looks like an angry person. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so both numbers in quadrant 3 will be negative. And in quadrant 4, the first number, the x number, will be positive, and the second number will be negative. Okay? So I'm going to leave a worksheet for you to do, and it's going to have an xy axis just like this, and it's going to have dots on it, and I want you to write down what the coordinates are. Okay? And there's only going to be about 4 or 5, and I'll have one in each of the quadrants, and you can use this for example, when you have the dot, when you're reading the dot in quadrant 1, which is this square, whatever the dot will be, it'll be a plus number and a plus number, so both numbers will be positive, okay? And then quadrant 2 will be a minus number and a positive number. Quadrant 3 will be a minus, and quadrant 4 will be a positive and a minus. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to practice just reading dots, okay? And I'll leave about 4 or 5 or 6 dots and have a go, see how you get on. Let me know if you have any questions.